Jennifer Hudson's son brings her to tears in an unforgettable holiday moment. Jennifer Hudson never expected that night to be remembered as anything special. It wasn't planned to be historic. It wasn't designed to go viral, or no cameras. Set up for a grand reveal, no stage lights, no rehearsed speeches. It was meant to be simple, a quiet holiday gathering, the kind that exists outside of fame, outside of expectations. Outside of the world's gaze, her home glowed softly under warm holiday lights, the kind that blur the edges of a room and make everything feel gentler. Music drifted through the space at a low volume, not demanding attention, just existing like a comforting hum in the background. Friends and family filled the house with easy laughter, casual conversations, and shared memories that felt lighter simply because the year was finally coming to an end. There was no pressure in the air, no performance energy, no need to be anything other than present. Jennifer moved through the room with ease, smiling to herself as she greeted loved ones, occasionally humming along to the music playing softly behind her. This wasn't the EGOT-winning powerhouse the world knows, the commanding voice, the flawless performances, the red carpet presence. This was just Jennifer, a woman at home, a mother, a partner, someone surrounded by people who knew her beyond. The spotlight. Among those guests sat Common, her longtime partner, relaxed and observant, watching the room with quiet familiarity. After nearly 3 years together, moments like this had become deeply meaningful to them. Not the headline-making appearances, but these ordinary nights filled with warmth and connection. These were the moments that built a life. And then there was her son. 16-year-old David Daniel Otunga Jr. He had been sitting quietly for most of the evening, watching his mother as she moved through the space with that unmistakable glow only a parent can recognize in someone they love. He wasn't distracted. He wasn't scrolling on his phone. He wasn't laughing loudly with friends. He was waiting because he had something planned, something he had prepared carefully, something personal, something deeply intentional. Jennifer, unaware of what was about to unfold, passed by him and gently encouraged him to sing along with her, the way she often did. Music had always been their shared language, a bond built not just on talent, but on emotion, vulnerability, and expression. Singing together had always been natural, almost instinctive. But this time, David didn't smile and brush it off. He stopped her. "Come with me," he said. His voice was calm, but there was something else beneath it. A quiet nervousness, a deliberate seriousness that hadn't been there before. The shift was subtle, almost invisible, but Jennifer felt it instantly. She paused, looked at him, curious but trusting. Whatever this was, she could sense it mattered. Without hesitation, she followed him. She didn't know that this simple request, her son asking her to come with him, was about to lead her into one of the most emotional moments of her life. She didn't know that this warm, comforting night would soon be etched into her heart forever. As they moved to another part of the room, the energy changed. The hum of conversation softened behind them. The music dipped lower. The space felt quieter, more focused. Jennifer sat down, still smiling, still unaware. David stood in front of her and took a breath. "I didn't want to sing with you," he said gently. There was no teasing in his voice, no playfulness, "because I made something for you." The words landed softly, but their weight lingered. This wasn't casual, this wasn't spontaneous, this was intentional. Jennifer blinked, surprised. Her smile slowly faded into something else. Curiosity, anticipation, and a growing sense that something meaningful was about to happen. "I'm just going to let the video play, okay?" Added no explanation, no build-up. Just trust. Jennifer closed her eyes, not because she was told to, but because she trusted him completely. There was no fear, no hesitation, only faith in her son. Behind her, Common watched quietly. He had seen the preparation. He knew the effort that had gone into this, and he understood the importance of giving the moment space to breathe. The screen, came to life. The video opened inside a recording studio. There stood David Jr., wearing headphones, posture focused, expression serious. This wasn't a child playing around. This wasn't experimentation. This was presence, intention, purpose. A producer stood beside him, adjusting levels, listening carefully, and then his voice filled the room. Deep, warm, steady. Emotional, the room froze. Jennifer's hands flew instantly to her face as recognition hit her all at once. The lyrics were familiar, painfully familiar. He was singing her song, Find the Love, one of the most heartfelt tracks from her 2024 holiday album, The Gift of Love. But hearing those words come from her son changed everything. I roll with the tide. The lows and the highs. I've been praying at night. The tears came immediately, uncontrollably. Jennifer didn't try to stop them. This wasn't just music. It was a message, a reflection, a son returning every lesson, every sacrifice, every ounce of love his mother had poured into him through melody as David's voice filled the room. Time slowed. Conversations stopped completely. No one moved. No one spoke. It was that rare kind of silence, the kind that only happens when something real is unfolding. Jennifer sat with her eyes closed, tears streaming freely. She didn't wipe them away. She didn't compose herself. There was no image to maintain here. This was raw. This was real. This was a mother hearing her. Child, honor her in the purest way possible. When the video ended, the room remained still. Jennifer opened her eyes, overwhelmed. "Oh my God," she whispered. There were no other words, and that honesty said everything. She pulled her son into a tight embrace, crying into his shoulder as if the world had disappeared. Later, she would write words that perfectly captured the moment. "I feel the love out of the mouths of babes. This hit me in the depths of my heart that only he can reach. I truly received a gift of love. No award, no standing ovation. Lifetime achievement honor could ever compare. Because this wasn't about success, it was about connection. The emotion didn't stop with Jennifer. As the final note of the song faded into silence, the room remained suspended in that rare space where no one wants to move too quickly, afraid of breaking something sacred. The kind of silence that isn't empty. It's full of feeling, full of understanding. Slowly, the camera panned across the room. Friends stood frozen, hands covering their mouths. Some wiped tears from their cheeks without even realizing they were crying. Others reached for the hands of the people beside them, grounding themselves in the moment. No one was immune. This wasn't just a song being played. It was a story being told, a story about love passed down quietly over years, through late-night talks, car rides filled with music, moments of encouragement, moments of discipline, moments of sacrifice that never make headlines. Jennifer Hudson has spent her life giving her voice to the world. On stages, in studios, in films, in performances that move millions. But in that moment, she wasn't the voice filling the room. She was the one listening. And what she heard was proof that everything she had poured into her child had found its way back to her. David Jr. didn't rush toward applause. He didn't look around the room searching for validation. He didn't stand there waiting for praise. When the video ended, he simply walked toward his mother and sat beside her. That quiet choice said, "KJF Quinn." This wasn't about showcasing talent. This wasn't about being seen. This was about being felt. Jennifer wrapped her arms around him tightly, holding him the way only a mother can, not as a celebrity, not as an icon, but as someone who suddenly realized just how deeply her child understood her heart. She cried into his shoulder, her tears soaking into the fabric of his shirt, her body shaking slightly as the emotion finally released. For a brief moment, nothing else existed. Not the year ending, not the outside world, not the legacy she had built, just a mother and her son. Later, when Jennifer shared the moment online, she didn't over-explain it. She didn't try to dress it up with clever captions or promotional language. Her words were simple, honest, and deeply personal. "I feel the love out of the mouths of babes. This hit me in the depths of my heart that only he can reach. I truly received a gift of love." Those words carried more weight than any award acceptance speech ever could, because they weren't meant for an audience, they were meant for him. And yet, once the video reached the world, a response was immediate and overwhelming. Fans flooded the comments, many admitting they hadn't expected to feel so deeply affected. One person wrote, "Oh Jen, this is beautiful. The tune sticks in your head and heart. The world needs this." Another said, "A mother's love and a son's gratitude. Nothing compares. I cried right along with you." Some viewers admitted they had no idea David Jr. could sing like that, but longtime followers weren't surprised at all. They remembered small moments from the past, brief studio visits, quiet clips, subtle hints that he had inherited more than just his mother's vocal ability. He had inherited her emotional depth, her intention, her ability to communicate feeling through sound. Actress Yvette Nicole Brown summed it up perfectly when she commented, "Now I'm crying too. This is my favorite song off your album. Baby, boy better sing." That reaction echoed everywhere. Surprise, pride, tenderness. But what made the moment resonate so deeply wasn't just the talent on display. It was the meaning behind it, Jennifer. Hudson's journey hasn't been easy. The world knows her triumphs, the awards, the recognition, the legacy she continues to build. But behind that success lies a life shaped by resilience, loss, faith, and perseverance. Those themes live in her music for a reason. They are lived truths, and hearing those truths reflected back to her through her son's voice transformed the song into something entirely new. For David Jr., this wasn't about stepping into the spotlight, it was about stepping into his identity. At just 16 years old, he showed something far more powerful than vocal ability. He showed courage, thoughtfulness, emotional intelligence, the understanding that honoring someone doesn't always require grand gestures. Sometimes it simply requires sincerity. He didn't rewrite her song, he didn't change the lyrics. He gave them back to her, filtered through love. The holidays have a way of doing that. They strip away distractions, they soften our defenses, they remind us of what truly matters. They bring up memories of what we've lost, what we've gained, and what still lies ahead. That night did all of that for Jennifer Hudson. What began as a simple holiday gathering became a moment she will carry for the rest of her life. Not because it went viral, not because people were watching, but because it reminded her that love doesn't come from trophies, titles, or applause. It comes from connection. And sometimes, the most powerful voice in the room isn't the one the world applauds. It's the one that says, "I see you, I understand you, I honor you." Long after the tears were wiped away and the room slowly returned to life, the feeling lingered. Moments like that don't disappear when the night ends. They stay. They echo. Jennifer Hudson would later reflect on how unexpected it all was. How the most profound experiences often arrive without warning, disguised as ordinary evenings. She had walked into that night expecting nothing more than warmth and familiarity. What she received was a reminder of why she had endured everything life had ever placed in front of her, because love had found its way back to her. Not through applause, not through recognition, but through her child. For years, Jennifer had been the one guiding David Jr. She had been the steady voice, the example, the protector. She had shown him how to stand tall in difficult moments, how to process emotion rather than suppress it, how to use creativity as a form of healing instead of escape. She had done what mothers do quietly. And now, in a single moment, her son showed her that he had been listening all along. What made the experience even more powerful was what wasn't said. There were no speeches afterward, no dramatic explanations, no need to frame the moment. Everyone in that room understood they had just witnessed something rare, a full circle of love. David Jr.'s choice to sing that song mattered. Find the Love wasn't just a track from a holiday album. It was a reflection of Jennifer's journey, her faith, her resilience. Her belief that even in loss and hardship, love remains the anchor by choosing those lyrics. David wasn't just honoring his mother as an artist, he was honoring her as a woman. As someone who had survived unimaginable pain and still chosen to lead with compassion, faith, and grace. At 16, he showed an awareness that many adults never reach, the understanding that gratitude doesn't always need to be spoken loudly. Sometimes it needs to be felt deeply. This wasn't about following in her footsteps. It was about walking beside her. Jennifer has often spoken about the importance of protecting her son's sense of self, especially in a world that can be unforgiving. To children of famous parents, she never pushed him toward the spotlight, never forced expectations onto him. She allowed him to grow, to discover his own interests, his own voice. And that made this moment even more meaningful, because this was his choice, his expression, his gift. As news of the moment spread, many people saw themselves reflected in it. Parents who wondered whether their sacrifices were seen. Children who wished they had said thank you more often. Families reminded of the quiet power of presence. The video didn't resonate because Jennifer Hudson is famous. It resonated because she is human, because she reacted the way any mother would, overwhelmed, undone, grateful beyond words. The tears weren't weakness. They were release. They were proof that even the strongest voices still tremble when love reaches them in unexpected ways. For Common, witnessing the moment carried its own significance. He didn't step into the frame. He didn't speak over it. He stayed still, allowing the moment to belong exactly where it did, between a mother and her son. That kind of respect doesn't come from performance, it comes from understanding. Understanding that some moments aren't meant to be shared loudly, they are meant to be held gently. As the year came to a close, that night became a marker in Jennifer's life, not as an artist, but as a parent. A reminder that legacy isn't built through achievements alone. It's built through example, through love, shown consistently, through showing up when no one is watching. David Jr. didn't need to say thank you for everything. His voice said it for him. And in doing so, he gave his mother something she could never earn, never rehearse, never receive again in quite the same way. A moment of pure recognition. A moment that said, I see you. I know what you've done. I carry it with me. Jennifer walked into that night expecting comfort. She walked out with a memory etched into her soul. One that would follow her far beyond the holiday season. One that would outlast albums, awards, and applause. Because the most meaningful gifts aren't wrapped in boxes. They arrive through intention, through courage, through love. And for those watching from afar, it was a glimpse behind the legend, into the heart of a woman whose greatest role was never on stage. It was motherhood. What made that night so powerful wasn't just the surprise, it was the history behind it. Because long before that holiday gathering, long before the recording studio and the carefully chosen song, there were years of quiet work that no one ever saw. Motherhood, especially in the public eye, is often misunderstood. People see the polished moments, red carpets, interviews, smiling photos, but they rarely see the invisible labor that happens behind closed doors. The early mornings, the late nights, the constant balancing act between protecting a child and preparing them for the world. Jennifer Hudson lived that reality every day. After unimaginable loss earlier in her life, she became fiercely intentional about how she loved, how she raised, how she showed up. Her son wasn't just part of her life, he became the center of it. Every decision she made carried his name quietly attached to it. What David Jr. gave her that night was proof that none of that went unnoticed. Children don't always say thank you in words. They show it in who they become, and who David Jr. was. Becoming, in that moment, thoughtful, grounded, emotionally aware, spoke louder than any speech ever could when he stood in that studio to record his mother's song. He wasn't just singing notes. He was stepping into vulnerability. He was allowing himself to be seen, not as Jennifer Hudson's son, but as a young man capable of holding emotion and delivering it with sincerity. That takes courage, especially at 16, especially in a world that often tells young men to hide their feelings rather than express them. Jennifer had never taught her son to suppress emotion. She taught him to respect it, to understand that. Sensitivity is not weakness, it's awareness, and in that moment, her teachings reflected back at her like a mirror. The song choice itself felt symbolic. Find the Love isn't about perfection. It's about endurance, about faith during uncertainty, about choosing hope when the road feels heavy. Those weren't just lyrics Jennifer sang. They were lessons she lived. David Jr. didn't reinterpret the song. He embodied it. And that's what broke her open. Because sometimes, the deepest form of love is recognition. The realization that someone truly understands who you are beneath the surface. As the days passed and the video continued to circulate, people began sharing their own stories in response. Parents wrote about moments when their children surprised them with emotional insight. Children shared regrets about words they never said out loud. Some admitted they picked up the phone and called their mothers after watching. That's when it became clear. This wasn't just a viral clip. It was a reminder. Reminder that love doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it waits quietly until the moment is right. Jennifer Hudson didn't raise her son to perform for the world. She raised him to feel, and that difference changed everything. In interviews over the years, Jennifer has often said that motherhood grounded her in ways nothing else ever could. Awards came and went, applause faded, but the responsibility of shaping a human life stayed constant. That night validated every choice she had made, every boundary, every sacrifice. Every time she chose presence over pressure, David Jr.'s gift wasn't expensive. It wasn't flashy, but it was priceless because it came from intention. And intention is what separates noise from meaning. As the holiday season continued, Jennifer carried that moment with her, not as something to relive publicly, but as something to protect. Some memories are too sacred to be revisited casually. They aren't meant to be replayed endlessly. They're meant to be held close. That night didn't just mark the end of a year, it marked a chapter, a quiet confirmation that love, when given fully, always finds its way back. There are moments in life that don't just move us, they mend something. What happened that night between Jennifer Hudson and her son was one of those moments. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was honest. It spoke to something universal, the longing to be seen, not for what we do, but for who we are. Generational healing doesn't always happen through conversations. Sometimes it happens through actions. For Jennifer, becoming a mother reshaped the way she understood love. She wasn't just raising a child, she was breaking cycles, choosing gentleness where the world had been harsh, choosing openness where pain had once lived. Those choices leave quiet fingerprints on a child's heart. David Jr.'s gesture was proof that he felt those fingerprints. When he chose to sing his mother's song, he wasn't just honoring her present. He was acknowledging her past, the struggles she endured, the strength she modeled, the way she continued to love without becoming hardened by loss. That kind of awareness doesn't come from instruction. It comes from observation, from years of watching how someone responds when life doesn't go as planned. Jennifer had shown her son how to keep going without losing tenderness, how to hold faith even when grief tries to steal it, how to use creativity as a bridge instead of a shield. And now, through music, her son reflected those lessons back to her. For many watching, the moment stirred emotions they hadn't expected. People didn't just see a celebrity mother and son. They saw themselves, their own relationships, their own unspoken gratitude, their own unresolved feelings. Some viewers admitted they had never told their parents how much they meant to them. Others saw their own children growing up and wondered, What lessons were truly being absorbed in the quiet moments? That's the power of being truly seen. Jennifer didn't need her son to list her accomplishments. She didn't need praise. She needed understanding. And in that song, she heard it. That realization carries a kind of healing that no therapy session, no award, no public validation can provide. Because it answers a question many parents carry silently. Did I do enough? That night, the answer was clear: yes. The internet responded with emotion because people recognized the rarity of the moment. In a world that often encourages distance between generations, here was a young man choosing closeness, choosing vulnerability, choosing gratitude. And that choice mattered. It mattered that David Jr. didn't perform for applause. It mattered that he didn't make the moment about himself. It mattered that he centered his mother's heart instead of his own visibility. That's how healing moves forward, not loudly, but intentionally. For Jennifer, the moment became a quiet anchor, something to return to mentally on difficult days. A reminder that her love had landed exactly where it was meant to. The song may have ended, but its meaning didn't. Single quotes, it continued in the conversations it sparked. In the tears it released. In the phone calls people made after watching, because sometimes healing begins simply by seeing someone say without words, "I know who you are, and I honor you."